Actor Reporter, and I apologize for not introducing you in that last video about the Supernova Mountain Dew thing, but your name is?
Mr. Dr. Professor He.
And we are getting ready to go to the premiere of the Avengers. Like, the biggest blockbuster in the past...
Yeah. A couple
2008. But yeah, this is... It's... I don't know about you, but I haven't seen a single bad word about this movie yet.
Nothing.
Like, the only complaint I've heard is that they wish it was 3 hours longer.
Damn, that's a...
So that's saying something, considering it's already a 2.5-hour movie. But, my thoughts beforehand, I guess I should just give you my thoughts on all the movies before the Avengers. The only one I haven't seen, I don't know about you, but the only one I haven't seen is The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I've seen Hulk.
I've seen Hulk as well. And, nah.
It's not really part of this conversation.
Yeah,
We'll just bypass Hulk.
I've seen Iron Man. I have not seen Iron Man 2. I have not seen Thor, and I have not seen Captain America. So I'm quite behind the curve on this film. So
it seems to be one of those things, though. Like, you don't have to see all the others, but it seems to help. Like, the Avengers really is like its own film, but there's been so much build up for
I remember
6
when
years.
I remember when the actual trailer came out. I believe it was. Oh, I'm going to quote you. It looks like Iron Man 3 from the trailer.
It did. Iron Man was the star of the trailer.
Yeah, and I really hope that it's not that way. I want to see all the characters.
Well, which is why they casted Josh Whedon to direct.
Yeah,
the master of character development.
Yeah.
So
Josh Whedon's done.
You're going to see all the characters get plenty of screen time. Like all 6 of them actually, because they also have Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my only fear of the movie.
Which is?
The earlier Batman films have done this plenty of times, but you have like 3 villains at a time, and it's a lot for Batman to handle at once, but from Marvel's perspective, for at least with the Avengers movie, what happens when you have too many heroes?
Yeah, I've already talked about that.
There's 6 heroes and 1 villain.
Well,
granted, the villain is a god.
Yeah. It's Loki, the god of mischief and other unworldly things.
Loki has to be intimidating.
Yeah. And he seemed pretty intimidating from the trailer.
Yeah, he looks cool. I mean, you're going up against a genius, muscular monster,
a god,
and a heavily sterile, heavily stamina adrenaline soldier. So, super soldier as they call it.
Plus a chick with a couple of guns and a guy with a bow and arrow. So, just a little salt and pepper.
So yeah, it's. I honestly haven't been this excited for a film probably since Toy Story 3.
But the Hulk as a character and a hero, if you really think about it, he's just not that good. He's basically kind of like a Mr. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's not really a hero, he's more of a monster. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Josh Whedon portrays it in the movie.
In the cartoon series, and I haven't read the Hulk comic books, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. The Hulk and Bruce Banner are completely 2 different characters.
Right.
Whenever the Hulk hulks out, Bruce Banner is his conscience, which, also something about, I take it back, I have heard some complaints about Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Considering this is the Hulk's 3rd movie, per se, and it's been a different actor every single time.
Yeah.
And one of the complaints is, in the comics, apparently, the Hulk is actually the youngest of the 4.
Really?
He's, like, early 20s.
Really?
So...
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Hulk is supposed to be, like, early 20s, but he looks like he's in his 40s.
Yeah, he looks like one of the older ones.
But, yeah...
I mean, you got... Captain America would be the oldest.
Yeah, definitely.
He's just not... His age hasn't quite caught up to him yet.
All the ones of actors, Robert Downey Jr. is probably the oldest, but
yeah.
he doesn't look a day over 21.
I'd say, yeah, he doesn't look a day over at least 30, I would say.
Robert Downey doesn't age, but yeah, he's probably the oldest actor, but I'm just really excited. This should be a really interesting film beginning to end, and I'm just excited that Joss Whedon is directing. I probably wouldn't be near as excited if it was a different director, honestly. I don't know. After Cabin in the Woods, if you can make stereotypes likable, he can do anything. So I have all the faith in the world that he's gonna do this film justice. But we'll see.
Let's see. It's midnight premiere, and what time is it?
8 o'clock.
8. No, it's almost 8 o'clock. Yeah,
Which means
we'll
we're
call
probably
it.
gonna go. So we will see you guys in a couple hours when we get back from the video, and we will give you our actual thoughts on the film. So
All right.
stay tuned. Damn.
What can we say about the Avengers?
We're gonna try as hard as we can not to get into spoiler territory for this
Yeah.
one. Although spoilers probably are coming, but we'll warn you.
Yeah.
What gets me is how simple of a story it is. It's like it's overly simplified, but it's almost necessary for that. Like the story is no more than, this isn't a spoiler. You see it in the
Trailer.
well, yeah, more or less. But the whole point of the story is there's this dimension that's been opened. Loki has returned. Loki is tired of being the shadow of Thor, so in order to be listened to, he creates an alien race to come down to New York City.
Befriends an alien race.
Befriends an alien race
Yeah.
to come down to New York City and destroy so that he can be feared. That's basically it. And Nick Fury wants to get together 4 unlikely heroes to stop it, because it's, how else are you going to do it? And it's just these 4 heroes that do not belong together working together. And when I heard Joss Whedon's name was attached to this, there is no one better. Joss Whedon just has this thing with character development, and in the hands of another director, like the relationship between Thor and Loki would really be downplayed, and you wouldn't buy it. That was probably one of the best links, was Thor and Loki being brothers.
Like you actually see, or you actually kind of feel the tension between them, because Thor doesn't really want to kill Loki, but Loki doesn't like Thor at all. So you see a lot of that brotherly contact there. That was one of my favorite parts of the film. Was that it was done phenomenal. The whole film itself was phenomenal.
A lot of you guys are probably already questioning why we look different. Well,
It's the day after.
Let's go into some facts here for a second. We went to the midnight showing, of course, of the Avengers. It's a 2.5-hour movie that feels like an hour long. I mean, that movie went by so fast. Did it feel like 2 hours to you?
I actually felt like it was a necessary 2.5 hours. I didn't feel like it went too fast. I wish it was longer.
The pacing in this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah,
but
it was great.
I'm pretty sure we got home at like 4 in the morning, just beat and tired, but full of energy.
Yeah.
We wanted to come into this kind of fresh. But along the lines of complaints, like number one complaint I've seen so far is that it should be 3 hours longer. That's probably
I actually had one complaint about the whole film. There's I count about 3 or 4 scenes in the whole movie that involved shaky cam. I mean, really bad shaky cams where it kind of bugged me. But those scenes lasted for all of maybe 3 to 5 seconds, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and those scenes did take place when they're in that enclosed space on the that one vessel. We won't say what it is because it's a moment.
This film has a lot of moments that we just can't tell you. I mean, you have to basically you have to go see this film. It was just amazing.
If you're a fan of comic books, you'll love it. It seems to be very, very faithful to the original comics and even the TV show, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's a really good adaptation of that series, honestly. And honestly, if you're a fan of movies, this could be a study on what to do with your heroes and what to do with characters that should be known by everybody, but
in terms of the actors and the actresses and the characters, I can't think of a single thing. I mean, everything was just dang near next to flawless. I mean, it was done so beautifully. Real quick, I'd like to go into... Well, let's go ahead and talk about the effects first.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly can't think of a single effect shot that didn't work. Honestly, the only complaint I had was, honestly, when the Hulk first hulked out. At first sight of seeing the Hulk, his arms look kind of rubbery. They still kind of do when you look at certain pictures. The Hulk does look kind of rubbery. They probably could have done like one more layer of texture over his, but it still works. You're still kind of trembling in your seat whenever he's running amok through the halls.
Yeah.
But honestly, there's not a single effect in that last hour.
Yeah, the last hour or so.
I think there was 3 companies that did the effects for this movie, and it so many explosions, and it's not Michael Bay film, and it worked.
No, Michael Bay will never make anything that will hold a candle to this film. He should never ever.
Honestly, I want to like devote a minute or 2 to Joss Whedon alone. Like,
We gotta talk about Joss Whedon because this film would probably not be as good if it wasn't for him.
in the hands of a lesser director, this would just
Not be
the
as
chemistry between these characters would not be anywhere near identical.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon's done so much television, so he's used to doing like long span, series where you love characters. In this movie, he has 2 hours.
About 2.5 hours. Yeah.
And you probably care for the characters more in this movie than you did in any of their single films. That's probably saying something. I'm not bashing any of the 4 directors, 7 directors that did the other movies, but...
Well, except for maybe the whole...
Well, that's why I said 7 directors.
Throw that one up.
But, I'm not purposely bashing on any of them, but you cared more about these characters in these movies, in this movie, than I think you ever did in any of their single films.
I didn't dislike a single character. Not one.
No, not a single character. I don't think No.
Oh, in fact,
not even the minor characters.
Not to spoil. We won't spoil anything. We won't go any further than this. At least I won't. I almost cried at this film. About, what would you say, third of the way?
It's
halfway.
it's fairly early on, honestly. It's probably about the 4.5 minute
There's
mark.
just a certain moment in this film that happens that took everyone in the theater by surprise. And we were in a big theater. A lot of people. Everyone went dead silent. And I swear I almost cried.
We were in Theater 1, which is the biggest theater room in Great Escape, which is where we went. What would you say? There's probably like 5 empty seats. Like
there was not a lot of
there. It was a packed house, and it was a sold out. It was a sold out film.
Yeah.
It sold out like before the movie started.
Yeah.
I doubt anyone that we were in the theater with is gonna watch this, but thank you guys. Like that was a phenomenal crowd to watch a.
Oh yeah. Everyone applauded when they should have. Everyone stayed quiet when they needed to. It was so much fun. Just
a couple cosplayers. We made a couple friends, honestly. Like
yeah.
My favorite moment in the entire film was actually a crowd moment, and that's kind of odd, but it was.
Yeah.
You've all seen the trailer for the Avengers. It's that one moment where the camera pans around the 6 characters, which is the awesome trailer moment, by the way.
Yeah.
Whenever that happened in the movie, you saw it coming.
Yeah.
But the crowd went nuts.
We all went nuts.
And this crowd, they were devoted to movies.
Yeah,
they were devoted to comics.
God bless
they
them.
love these characters. And I don't want to speak for any of them, but if the movie had not earned that moment, they wouldn't have applauded.
Yeah.
The movie earned that moment.
Yeah. Let's see. How do we describe this? I couldn't even count how many times we applauded this film. There were so many good moments in this film when everyone just started clapping their hands, yelling "yeah," stuff like that. It was in the double digits. I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, this could have been like the best movie experience I've ever been to.
I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
This was a bigger premiere than Toy Story 3.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, this has been a hyped up film for years.
But not ironically, but this movie was actually really hysterical.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of funny moments, and they all.
A lot of fans would be like, if you were just to say that, like, the Avengers is a really, really funny movie, and somebody would be like, well, they just screwed it up then. I mean, the Avengers shouldn't be a funny movie about these serious heroes, but, I mean, Joss Whedon has this way about writing comedy.
Yeah.
All the dialogue felt realistic.
Yes.
Even the most funny and obscure moments, they worked. There wasn't a single joke that flopped. If they did, you passed it. It was like, that might have been stupid, but it was too funny not to laugh at.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, if you missed a joke, it's because you were laughing so much at the last joke, you just missed the next one. But it was well spaced.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
this pacing in this movie is.
But I mean, they said, you know, it's like what he said. You know, it should be serious, and it is. It's a very serious film.
Oh yeah,
But there's so many like snappy one-liners in there, especially from like Tony Stark.
Oh.
Of course.
Go figure.
Everything just fit in like almost perfectly.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of heart into this movie.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon did his research. He gave everybody more or less equal screen time.
Oh yeah. It was not one person's movie. It was everyone's film.
It didn't star a single person. It starred like 7 people, and that's hard to space properly.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon has done basically 2 hits in a row for me.
Yeah.
He's a 5-star director. I mean, he hasn't really done a whole lot of movies.
Well, the ones he's done, at least from what I've seen, it's great.
I don't know how old he is, but if he's gonna retire soon.
Maybe it's the beard.
I hope not.
Maybe it's the beard.
Maybe it's the beard. I don't know. But
what else can we say?
I have so much respect for Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
I really don't know what else to say other than you need to just stop watching this review like 20 minutes ago and go watch this movie.
No, we didn't spoil anything. We don't want to spoil this movie.
No.
I mean, this film's too good to spoil.
I mean, there's a lot to spoil in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But
if you have friends that went and saw it, don't talk to them. Go see it for yourself first.
what was it you told your friends when you left the theater? You were like,
oh, I had a lot of like some of my friends that came that I didn't know were coming, and when we left the theater, I was dang near. I could have sworn the movie took my breath away. I just thought it was so good, and I went up to some of my friends who were talking. I just went up to them and said, "I feel like Jesus just slapped me in the face," and that's really all I can say. It really does. It feels like Jesus just looks at you, smiles, and just goes whack like that.
I'm amazed at how long it really was. That movie is. I'm amazed at that because it does not feel at all that long.
I kind of felt it was.
Really?
I mean, in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what? Okay, let's be honest here for a second. I mean, this is a 2.5-hour movie with. I don't want to undersell this, but probably 20 minutes of exposition. Like the majority, like 90% of this movie is fighting, like very, very good fighting.
I'd say around around 60 to 70%. And I mean it's all plot driven.
It's just not fighting for the.
I wouldn't even say plot driven. I'd say more character driven is what this film is.
Plot and character, honestly. I mean, it's not like pointless fighting. Just like, hey, here's 2 of your favorite heroes together. Let's see what happens when they fight.
Transformers.
It's kind of like that, but I mean, here's the exception. It means something.
Yeah.
Like you've seen it in the trailer, so I'll just go ahead and say it. There's a fight between Iron Man and Thor, and it means something. Like they're just not fighting for the heck of it. I mean, their fight really does mean something.
And two, I don't think this will spoil anything. Okay, I'll try to say this without spoiling anything. The way all these superheroes interact is done so well. And at the beginning, they all kind of hate each other.
Oh yeah.
And they get into a lot of arguments. And there's a lot of tension, especially when there's so much stuff they got to be worrying about. And they're arguing and fighting. It keeps you on your edge of your seat. Like, well, what's going to happen? But
right.
It's all like it all just sort of falls into place so well. I mean, like I said, no one's a pansy or a whiny baby at all.
Closing notes. I'm sure this video's gone on way longer than it should.
To add one, we did see it in 2D,
Yes.
but we told each other we're going to see this movie in 3D.
A friend of ours was at the premiere with us, and
Yeah.
he said that he's gonna go see it in IMAX 3D, and we were just kind of like, yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, at the end of it, I'm like, yes, I'm seeing this film again. I'll probably see this film, honestly.
It's alright, I'll
like,
probably at least see it 3 times.
I want to see this film two, 3 more times by the time it's gone, because this film is it's just phenomenal.
This is one of those movies that I would love to rewatch and just like focus on one character and see how they progressed. But one thing we actually did not touch upon, we didn't even touch on this last night, but the soundtrack to this movie.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
I wanted to leave the theater and punch somebody in the face. Like it's just like that. It's just that vibe of like
it gives you energy.
I gotta go to war right now.
Run through a crowd naked. Look, I didn't get that vibe, but I just start beating up people.
But I don't even know who did it. I didn't look at the credits to see who it was. But speaking of the credits, if you've watched any of the Avenger, all the characters beforehand, at the end of the credits there's always like a secret little message to the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
There's one in this one too. I won't say what it is.
Stick to the very end of the credits.
Yes.
I mean the very end. We're not going to spoil anything, but I mean at the very, very, very end of the credits, stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave until you see the big red screen with white letters that says Marvel. Don't you leave until you see that.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. There are 2 messages in this movie. Well, obviously, this movie's made so much money.
Oh yeah.
And it's already been.
What did you say? 36 nominations already?
Yeah, it has 36 nominations already. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's written down to be a trilogy. The Avengers is.
Yeah.
And so it's not spoiling anything. That there is a message at the very end for the sequel.
Yeah.
It probably won't happen for another couple of years, but.
And take Josh Whedon. If you're watching this, I highly doubt you will, but please take your time. Do exactly what you did with this one, because this was. I'm not going to say perfect because I don't believe in perfect films, but if I were to put this on a percentage scale on how good it is, I'd put it at 9.99999999999. But
it's a fantastic popcorn flick, and I mean that in the best way possible. I mean, this is a movie you can pop in whenever you want and just.
It's the best roller coaster ride I've ever been on.
It's just a fun movie beginning to end. Like.
Oh yeah.
With very little on the lines of, we're giving you this information just to make the plot go on. There's very little of that is, just them talking.
Yeah.
So, and whenever that's happening, it's still really comical.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of repeating ourselves now at this point, but...
I mean...
Turn us off and go watch it.
Yeah, straight up. Go watch this film. You will not be disappointed.
And that's the Avengers. I'm gonna see it again.
I'm gonna see it again.
I'm gonna buy it.
I'm gonna buy it.
I'm gonna send Josh Whedon a letter of thanks.
Sure, I'll do it with you.
If I can find his email address, I will be sending Josh Whedon a letter. Yes, that's all I got. The Avengers.
Yeah. A. My scale for grading movies, I never done this. I'm gonna give it an A+. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. But it's damn good.
It's not perfect. There might be a couple seconds that that are bad. But.
Yeah. I give this film an A+. You?
I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
There you go.
It's not, a 10 out of 10 on my scale is not perfect either, but
yeah.
It sets out to do what it wants to do, and mission accomplished.
Oh yeah.
So that's the Avengers.